Hello, dear students. Today again we are with the new poem that is also written by William Wordsworth. The name of the poem is The Solitary Reaper. This is also a very beautiful poem written by William Wordsworth. We have already read and understood in our previous lecture that Wordsworth was a poet of nature. He was an ardent lover of nature. So we did his poem, The World is Too Much with Us, with a deep analysis and explanation. Now we have this beautiful poem written by him. This poem expresses his love for nature, his natural love for nature. In this poem, he recalls an experience he had during a visit to the highlands of Scotland. That is, it's a real experience, it's a presentation or it's a poem of his real experience. When he was going with his sister Dorothy during a visit to the highlands of Scotland, he was thrilled by a song. He was astonished, amazed by a song that was sung in her native tongue, that was sung by a girl in her native tongue, was engaged in reaping alone in an upland fields. That is, the girl was singing a song, reaping alone in an upland field. So, the first stanza of this poem touches upon the three major features of the song. What are they? That is, its unexpectedness in remote area, its mournful note, its powerful appeal. These are the three important points that this poem touches upon. So, number one, unexpectedness, because no one can expect a girl singing a song in a lonely or in a remote area. The second, that the song, the quality of the song, the type of the song that she was singing was a mournful note, that is a melancholy song, And the third point we get in this poem or through this poem is that it has a powerful appeal. That is, the song has a powerful appeal. The poet is influenced by the singing of the girl's song, and it appealed him very much in the days of sorrows and sadness. So, whenever he recollected this memory, this song, in his tranquil mood, in his peaceful mood, in his melancholy mood, he got the treatment, he got the relax. It was a healing song. So, unexpectedness has been stressed in the second stanza. Melancholy attitude of the song has been mentioned in the third stanza of this poem. And then the powerful appeal, its powerful appeal is in the final stanza that we find in this poem. Now let us go with the poem. In this video lecture, I have taken only the two stanzas of this poem. There are four stanzas in this poem in all. I have taken the two stanzas for now, and the other two stanzas I will take in our next lecture. So let us see the first stanza. What is there in this first stanza? Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here, or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, o'er the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. So, this is the first stanza that we have of this poem. Now, see how the poet addresses the word behold her. So, he is addressing, or we may imagine that he is speaking, he is telling someone, some passerby or someone who is passing by that field. So, the poet says to him, addresses him, and says that, oh passerby, behold her, look at her, single in the field. She is single in the field. She is alone in the field. There is no one else in the field. Yon solitary highland lass. So who is in the field? They are the solitary highland lass. Solitude, alone, highland girl. Lass means girl here. So highland is that uplands regions of the Scotland. So there the poet saw the girl who was alone in the field. So he also tells the passerby that look at her, behold her, look at her. And what she is doing? She is reaping and singing by herself. She is reaping the crop, grains, as well as she is also singing by herself, is by alone. So she is reaping the grain and singing the song alone. So the poet says, stop here or gently pass. Oh my dear passerby, or the person whom he is addressing, the man whom he is addressing, he says, oh, either you stop here or you should gently pass from here. Why? Because that highland lass who is single in the field is reaping and singing a song. So either listen to her song or go away from here. Then the poet says, alone she cuts and binds the grain. He says, she is cutting the grains alone and binding the grain as well as cutting and binding the crop. And she is all alone there. As well as, and sings a melancholy strain. She is singing a melancholy strain, melancholy song, melody. Melancholy means disappointing, sad song. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. So, oh my dear passerby, either you listen to her or you may go away from here silently without disturbing her, because the vale means valley. Valley is profound, is filled with, overflowing with the sound of her song or music. So let me listen to her song. If you want to listen, you stop here, otherwise move away from here. So this is what we have in the first stanza of this poem. That is that the poet is referring someone addresses a passerby. He must look at the beautiful girl who is singing and reaping all alone. He also asks, as I told you by the passerby, that he should not disturb the girl singing by his presence. Because if by chance she looks at them, she will stop her song because of agitation or shyness. So he asks him either to pass gently or stop at distance. Okay? What else? She is cutting and binding, that I have already said about this. Here Highland refers to the Highlanders who were Gaels or sailors, who were supposed to be, at the time of Wordsworth, many of them didn't know English. So their English may be different. This stanza also creates the picture. Here a picture is created before our mind, before our eyes, that a girl is alone in the field, that the girl is singing a melodious, melancholy song. So, and the another picture, that the girl is solitary, alone reaping as well as binding the grains also. And another scene, picture that is created in our mind is about the valley that is overflowing with the sound of the song. So, this was the first stanza that I spoke about, explained. Now we have the second stanza of this poem. Let's read it. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest breach. In this second stanza, dear students, the poet compares and contrasts the song of the girl with the song of the nightingale and the cuckoo bird. In the first four lines of this stanza, we have the reference of the nightingale, the song of the nightingale. Nightingale also sings very sweet and melodious song, we know. So the poet says that the travelers, the tired persons or the groups of the travelers, when they find some shady haunt, when they find some shady place in order to take some rest, when they were traveling among Arabian sands, means Arabian deserts, when the travelers who were traveling in Arabian deserts, when they become fatigued and tired, they take some rest in some shady place. And at that shady place, they get relaxed from their tiredness. By how they relax themselves? By hearing and listening to the song of the nightingale. So these travelers get relaxed, their mind and heart, hearing and listening to the song of the nightingale in Arabian deserts. So, but here we have the word no. No. The very first word of this stanza, no nightingale. It means the poet here compares and contrasts. He says, oh no, no nightingale did ever sing such a melodious song as this girl is singing. So the song of the girl, the melody of the girl, the music of the song of the girl is more chanting, more thrilling, more enjoying and relaxing and soothing than the nightingale. Okay, I think it must be clear to you. And then we have another 4 lines of this stanza. Poet says, a voice so thrilling never was heard. He says that we have never heard a voice which is supposed to be, which is called so thrilling, so touching, so influencing and affecting us when in springtime, in the time of spring season, from the cuckoo bird. So when we hear the sound, the music, the song of the cuckoo bird in springtime, that is very much thrilling, that is very much melodious and sweet to our heart. We like that song of cuckoo bird. Breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest heavens. So this song, the song of the cuckoo bird in the springtime, is heard in the silence of the seas where there are no roarings, no winds are roaring there, no winds are blowing there, when the sea is cool and calm. This bird song, that is cuckoo's bird song, breaks that silence of the sea. Where? Among the farthest heavens. So here the poet is talking about the seashore near Hebrides, where the silence is broken by the sweet music, melody, song of the cuckoo bird, which is no doubt very much thrilling. But here again we have to understand what actually does poet here means to say, or what he means to refer to the song of cuckoo bird is again that he means to say that a voice or a song of the girl is more thrilling, much thrilling than the cuckoo bird. That is, the song of the girl is unsurpassable. So whatever I have explained, that is there in the words I have written for you. That is compare and contrast. We have also seen travelers of Arabian desert. They also get enjoyed by the song of nightingale. Then they forget their fatigueness, tiredness when they hear the song of the nightingale. But here the song of the girl is more soothing and refreshing. Then he compares with the song of the cuckoo bird, and that is also not so thrilling as the song of the girl. And the sea about which the poet is talking here is in the northern part and is not disturbed by any stormy and turbulent waves. So here again he says that the song of the cuckoo bird is not so thrilling than that of the girl's song. In this way, in this stanza, we have two pictures of one Arabian desert and desolate area, as well as the second, the desolate area that is cool and calm sea. These two pictures serve to universalize the sound in space. That is, the song of the girl is unsurpassable. So dear student, this is from me for you for this poem. We have completed only the 2 stanzas of this poem. The next 2 stanzas I will discuss in my next lecture. Thank you very much.